Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Bear, and in the studio tonight we have Matt Horrigan, also known to his colleagues and students as Ocean Matt. He is the oceanography professor at SFSU, and he is also the author of the Etymological Dictionary of Earth Sciences. Sorry, I could mix that up. But yeah, I'm glad to have you in the studio today. Thank you for being here. I guess let's just start it off. You were first going to school for medicine. What made you decide to veer the path and go towards oceanography?
Well, I was putting myself through school and I was working in a hospital. And I realized, as often impatient youth do, that most of the people in the hospital were there because they didn't take care of themselves before they got there. So I said, forget this. I'm going to go on a health kick where it's going to be preventative rather than curative. And I hopped on my bicycle and I was born and raised a Boy Scout, basically. All my uncles and my father just kept taking me outdoors. So I hit the outdoors and I biked as far as I could till I hit the next body of water from Lake Michigan, and that was the ocean.
So there's the ocean. So you came to San Francisco. What year did you come?
1973.
1973.
Yep.
That's I hate to date you. I'm sorry, but so
all right.
from there on, you went on and took a class at San Francisco State by David Mustert, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. I biked up to Yosemite and took a class with him, Valley of Fire and Ice, it was called.
Nice. Yeah, I love Yosemite. But so basically, you've been teaching since basically 1988. And it's almost as longer than I've been living, actually. How do you keep it interesting for not only not only your students, but yourself? I mean, teaching the same subject might get a little repetitive, redundant at times. What do you do to keep it interesting?
Props.
Props?
Got to have a lot of props. I mean, you're talking about earth science, you're talking about earthquakes. Well, you just pull a slinky out of your back pocket and you can describe how waves happen. Hold the end of that and bounce it up and down. There's an earthquake wave, right? All of a sudden people get interested because who hasn't played with a slinky?
Of course.
Or if you're talking about rocks and you're wondering, well, how do rocks both bend and break over time? You pull out some silly putty. And if you pull it slowly, it is ductile. But if you pull it fast, it breaks, just like rocks can do.
Fascinating.
And things are often spherical. We talk about the planet as a whole because it is earth science. So we can bring out some bubbles, not only make champagne music, but we can talk about the physics of spheres.
Wow. I never thought the bubbles could actually do so much for learning experience, but...
Well, and then you can pull out the anti-Nemo and grab them out of thin air. Or if somebody's not paying attention, wake them up.
Well, yeah, I think that's a pretty effective tool for getting people to pay attention to your classes.
Why not?
So, well, among other things, besides being a teacher, like you're a man of many things. You cycle, you said, but you also sail. I've had the pleasure to be on, have had the pleasure to sail with you for the last 4th of July. It's a lot of fun. So, how long have you been sailing for?
Well, I grew up sailing on Lake Michigan, fresh water, small body of water, but there have been many big shipwrecks on Lake Michigan,
Really?
so it's to be contended with. When I got to the ocean, though, I decided this is something I want to get across because my quest was to go west and continue west. So I relearned how to sail on bigger boats, and that has been one of my first loves, is water and the ocean. So I continued that, and I went formal with it by going back to school here at San Francisco State. It's my alma mater, got a master's in applied geosciences, and was asked by the faculty to teach here.
Oh,
and
nice.
I've continued to do so, but still managed to get outside and take students out on the boat as a learning platform.
Nice. Well, have you had any experiences where you've talked about shipwreck on Lake Michigan? I mean, have you had any experience in the open water where you've only had only yourself and your crew to depend on?
Well, in the wake of the famous HMS Bounty that sunk in this past Hurricane Sandy on the East Coast, I have had that opportunity, if you will, to experience a shipwreck. Fortunately, it was not my fault, and it was not my boat.
Well, that's
so
good. That's
I
good.
got the experience at someone else's expense. However, it is a very alarming, traumatic experience, and it is death-defying. We managed to shipwreck on the shore of Guatemala after a storm when there was no wind, because I had weathered a chubasco, which is the equivalent of a very strong thunderstorm, off the coast of Guatemala, and we finished the storm, and the captain came up, the owner of the vessel, to take over. And I said, we're getting close to land, but there's no wind. He turned on the engine, I went to sleep, and I woke up shipwrecked.
Well, I mean, I wish we can continue that story, but thank you very much for coming to the studio, and thank you for watching. And if you want to take Oceans Maths classes, you can take oceanography and paleontology, history of life. I am Ryan Baer. You can follow me on Twitter. Good night.